Something very special happened to me this week. My green card got finally issued. I have been waiting for this moment since last summer. And I'm filming this video to tell you about my immigration journey. I got my green card under the employment-based first preference category. And that category in short is called EB1. And it also has 3 subcategories. And I chose the immigration path of the first subcategory of EB1, which is extraordinary ability in your field of endeavor. So you pretty much have to show USCIS that you have significant accolades and accomplishments in your field. I know that the immigration process can be very stressful and there is a lot of uncertainty in the process as well. So I just wanted to film this video to hopefully cheer you up and share my experience, and maybe it will give you some information that you're looking for, or maybe my immigration example will serve as an encouragement or as some sort of guidance. Hey guys, my name is Polina. If this is your first time on my channel, and I work in architecture, and let me tell you about my EB1 process. And before I start, I want to mention that I'm putting the link to the EB1 category on the USCIS website in the description box below, in case you want to look at the criteria or if you want to familiarize yourself with this category. So first, I want to talk about my history of coming to the United States and the timeline of my application. I've been living in the US since 2013. I came here as a high school student at the age of 16. It's important to mention that even though I came here at a young age, I never envisioned myself immigrating here or staying here permanently. For me, it was just a way to get my education and then go back to my home country of Russia. So I came here at the age of 16. I got my high school diploma here. Then I stayed for college. So I got my bachelor's degree from USC in Los Angeles. And then I ended up moving to New York to get my master's degree in architecture as well. And then I ended up staying for my OPT, which is a period of employment that you get after you finish your degree. Like I said, I didn't know whether I wanted to remain here, but in the last few years, I did talk to a few different lawyers to just see what my options were. And I ended up learning about things like O visa, which is talent visa, and EB1, which is employment-based green card, like I mentioned earlier. And then finally in 2024, I made up my mind that I wanted to apply for this. And so in 2024, I hired a lawyer and we applied for this green card. And this process has like 2 steps. First, you approve the immigrant petition for extraordinary ability alien worker. And then with that approved petition, you apply for the adjustment of status, which just means that they get your biometrics and they check your background and then they issue you a green card. We ended up applying, I believe, early April last year. And then the first step, which is the immigrant petition, got approved in June. And then it took us another month for me to just go to my medical exam and for us to gather all the other documents. And then we applied for the adjustment of status. And the adjustment of status process took a little over 8 months from the end of July until pretty much this week. I think compared to a lot of other routes to permanent residency, EB1 is definitely faster and more efficient. So I think it's definitely worth looking into if you're looking to move to the US. The next thing I want to touch on is my lawyer. I think in this process, the most important thing is your lawyer. I feel like finding a lawyer that ultimately really believes in you and is going to do everything in their power to help you win your case is so crucial. You really need a person who is there for you and who truly believes in you and is not going to have doubt or back down. Over the years, I spoke to a few different lawyers to see my options, and I showed them my portfolio and was asking them for advice. And definitely the lawyer I ultimately worked with was my absolute favorite, and she definitely felt right in terms of my intuition. But I also did talk to some naysayers and lawyers who did not believe in my case or in my portfolio. And those people definitely made me doubt my ability to win an immigration case like this. I remember with one lawyer, she dismissed my portfolio completely, and she would tell me things like, oh, maybe you can find someone to get married to. And I was like, oh my God, I paid a consultation fee to talk to her, and that's the advice she's giving me. So my advice is do not listen to naysayers. And with my lawyer, the first time I talked to her, It's not like she told me, oh, your portfolio is ready for this case. But she was definitely open to working with me in the future. And so after I built my career further in these few years, she ended up working with me, and that was definitely the right move for me. And I was very lucky because I found this lawyer through a friend's referral, and I genuinely feel like she was the best person to support me with my immigration, and I'm just so thankful and so happy. I also want to talk about my case and how I approached it. First of all, I did not know how to build this case because if you look on the website, the criteria is quite ambiguous. So I just didn't know which accomplishments would qualify for which criterion. But I just want to tell you that do not let this scare you. Even if you don't know how to approach your case, even if you don't know how what you've accomplished correlates to what's outlined on the USCIS website, do not let that intimidate you. I just want to say that I didn't know how to start, but then once I started, at the end, my personal portfolio was like 270 pages. And that's even before I forwarded it to my lawyer, and then she used those pages to build an even bigger petition. So with a process like this, you just need to take the first step, and you need to look at your own resume, at your own portfolio, and start brainstorming how what you've already done, how it fits into these categories. And I can definitely assure you that if you can take that first step, the path shall start unfolding in front of you. And you will have your own 270 pages even before you know it. In terms of criteria for EB1, there's a total of 10 criteria, and you can look them up on the website. With my case, I believe we ended up applying with 8 out of 10, and you only need for the USCIS to accept 3 out of 10 in order for your green card to get approved. I remember when I learned about EB1 green card and I seriously started considering it, I looked at my resume, I looked at my portfolio, I looked at everything I've done in the past, and I started brainstorming like, how do these things match up with the EB1 criteria? How does my architectural work correlate to what's outlined on the website? I'll give you an example. One of the criteria mentions critical role for a distinguished organization. So I just examined my resume and I looked at all of my architectural work for different companies, and I started realizing that what I was doing at those companies could fall under this critical role or leadership category. And this criterion also mentions distinguished organization. And for example, I worked for Gensler, which is the #1 architecture company in the United States. So something like that and like media articles about Gensler would prove that this is an organization with a distinguished reputation. So I'm just giving you an example of how you can look at your previous work experience and how you can tie your experience to the criteria from the website. Besides examining what I had already had at that point, I also started thinking about furthering my career and securing more accomplishments that would be able to fall under different criteria under EB1. I'll give you some examples of that as well. For example, another criterion from EB1 is authorship of scholarly articles. And how I approached that one is I was already a master's student at Columbia University, and I started reaching out to my professors and seeing whether my work that I had already completed for my master's, all of my scholarly theoretical work in the field of architecture, whether that could get published in some sort of academic journals. And so with help of one of my professors, for example, I got published in the United Kingdom in a journal dedicated to architectural theory and history, and I definitely put that into my EB1 portfolio as well. So I became more proactive with seeing opportunities around me. Another category in the EB1 list is awards. And so when I realized that awards was one of the categories, I decided to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I started participating in architecture competitions to both further my career, but also to contribute to my EB1 portfolio in case I wanted to apply for it later. And through participating in these competitions, I ended up getting like 6 awards and winning in those competitions. And that again went into my portfolio and definitely strengthened my case. So this is it, guys. I just wanted to share my joy with you, share my happiness in finally reaching the end of this immigration journey. And I just want to remind you to believe in yourself. Believe in yourself no matter what, even if something seems out of reach or you don't know how to navigate it, you can definitely do it. 100%. Like, I am living proof that you can take a topic that you don't know how to navigate, and then over time you become really, really good at it, and you understand how the process works, and you ultimately succeed. So don't listen to naysayers. Don't be afraid of this process. Definitely approach it. Definitely learn about it. Definitely research it as much as you can if this is something you are considering doing. And immigration can definitely be a tough and unstable and unpredictable process, but it is temporary, and I just want to tell you that it will definitely be over. Guys, please let me know if you have any questions about my life in the United States or about my story. I will be happy to answer them, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.